Hey guys, Terry here with another video, and finally we're doing another episode of Terry's Tie-Ins! Yes, this is the show where I look at novelizations and novels that tie into things. In this case, like with the previous episodes, it's Doctor Who once again, because I have been in a really big Doctor Who mood. Not enough to go back and rewatch the show, mind, maybe. But, for now, just sticking with the 8th Doctor novels. Now, if you haven't seen an episode of this, I'll try to remember to put a card up above, but with the 8th Doctor books, for me, personally, I've just been hopping around. I've read the first one, and then from there, I have just hop, skipped, and jumped throughout the entire series, not really paying attention to the continuity, because yes, these do have continuity. And I'm going to try to sum this up very quickly, because this is my 4th time trying to film it, and it is incredibly hot, and because of the sound, I cannot have the fan on, so I am melting. But hop, skip, and jump. What I really like is that these books, so far, do maintain a sense of continuity and a sense of characterization. Like, they are really trying to make sure that the characters are consistent and that the story, while it's episodic, still makes reference to things that have happened before and make sure that the characters are the characters. And what makes that even more impressive to me, personally, is that it's all different authors. Almost every book in this series, and most of the other Doctor Who books, even though, yes, you're going to see reoccurring names, there are, like, staples of the Doctor Who novelverse. I believe Terrance Dicks is one of them, but don't quote me, because I'm not an expert. I've only just kind of, within, like, the last year or so, have been collecting these books. But yes, you're going to see some reoccurring names, but for the most part, a lot of these people are just, like, individuals that step in, and what they have to basically do is they have to make sure that they are fitting within the timeline. They're making sure that the characters have to match up with what the previous guy did, while simultaneously taking those models and putting it into a new story, giving us maybe some new perspective on those characters, adding something new, and fitting them into a brand new adventure that challenges them and develops them even further than what we've previously seen. And I love that. I think that these people are incredibly talented. So far, I've not read, there's been ones that I've liked more than others, and there are some books that focus a little bit more, like this one actually focuses a lot on each character, the Doctor, Fitz, and Angie, separately, and they each get their own kinds of focus and arcs and ideas, which I really like, and some of them focus more on the Doctor, some focus more on Fitz, some focus more on Angie. But I really like that a lot of the time in these books, they have just good quality. Like, they're very enjoyable. So I just wanted to give a little shout out to the people who wrote these books. You did your homework, you're clearly nerdy, and you enjoyed what you were doing. I don't know, honestly, though, if there was a lot of corporate oversight, because these were, these are shiny, published fan fictions, essentially, by BBC. So, yes, I'm sure that there was some oversight from the head office going, oh, make sure you include that thing. But for the most part, it just feels like these people cared about what they were doing and really put some good effort into all of the stories. They're all pretty consistent and pretty enjoyable, at least from what I've seen. I'm not closing the window, it's too hot. So if you hear a car, I don't care. So with this particular book, this is like the 4th Doctor Who, 8th Doctor Who book I've read, roughly, yeah. 8th Doctor, yeah. So this is like the 4th one I've read, and I read them all out of order, so for me, I don't get a grand scale of when things happen. I just know that, like, if I'm reading something, oh, something happened in the previous book, or whatever. There's different companions that happen. For example, in the first book, there was Sam. This has Fitz and Angie, the ones I've been spending most of my time with in these books, and I'm always coming at them at different points in time. This one seems to be, Angie is still relatively new to the gang. Fitz has been there for a while, so he's more adjusted, and then Angie is still relatively new and kind of uncertain. So I kind of liked that. I liked that she's a little bit new and a little bit of fish out of water. So I did like that. And Fitz is very horny in this, and I mean very horny in this, but whatever. The Doctor is still himself. He's still trying his best to unite people, get people to think, get people to care about each other. And in this book in particular, that's very important because accidentally they introduce the concept of free will to an entire planet of cartoon characters. That is amazing. That is such a creative premise. I mean, yes, I've seen stories similar to this, like, for example, in the 1960s Star Trek show, they do have an episode similar to that where the Enterprise crew lands on a planet and they interact with the inhabitants who are kind of children, basically. They don't really think, they don't really create, they don't really do, they kind of just follow blindly the orders of Baal, their god, who basically controls everything, keeps them perfectly safe, but also controls them, and then they don't question it. So it's kind of like that. Check that episode out. It's on Netflix if you get a chance. I can't remember the full episode, but it has Baal in it. Anyway. But it's similar to that. The gang lands on a planet, and they, just by arriving there and some of the things that they do, starts permeating through the collective consciousness of the planet and through all of the inhabitants. So, for example, the beginning. The beginning of this book is just brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. We open up with a character that we have never met before, and he's just kind of going about his day, and he's describing being a farmer who doesn't really understand why he farms, but he just does. And here's this pesky whatchamacallit, which is right here, it's that thing right there, this pesky whatchamacallit that he's never able to catch. This thing is always able to, like, trick him and do zany things. And this guy right here, Streaky Bacon, a pig, he's always trying to shoot him with his blunderbuss. He never quite knows what he would do if he caught the whatchamacallit, but that's just what he does. He and this whatchamacallit are essentially just playing a game. They don't think of it really as a game. They don't really question it, and that's where the notions of free will affects the citizens, is because then they never questioned their roles before until this happens. You see, Streaky comes across the TARDIS. The Doctor opens the door, and he's like, "Oh, hi there." And Streaky, not thinking, he's just startled, he's not thinking, he shoots the Doctor point blank in the chest. And the Doctor falls down in a pool of his own blood. And there's Fitz going, "What? What? Why would you shoot him?" And Streaky, the pig, just has no concept of why that was a bad thing, because, and he's like, "Oh my goodness." He's not getting up. You see, in his mind, shooting somebody just stings a little bit. They turn all black and crispy, and then they shake it off and they're fine. You know, he does it himself later. I'll get to that. So he's just stunned. He's just looking at the Doctor like, he'll be up in a minute. And when he's not getting up, he starts kind of going, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And then the ambulance comes and takes the Doctor, Fitz, and Streaky inside of it. It's sentient. And just drives around making wee-woo noises. And going, "Hey guys, you know, is your friend gonna hurry up and heal already? I've got other stops to go." Because it's not a real ambulance. These people have no need for actual hospitals and ambulances. Not really. They just regenerate. They just fix themselves. They're fine. They're cartoon characters. You could squish them, smash them, burn them, cut them. They always come back to normal, right? So this ambulance is just like a little respite if you're seriously hurt, like you fell off a cliff. This thing takes you into it, and you just get an extra minute to pop back up. That's not what's happening with the Doctor, and Fitz panics and he has to yank the Doctor away. But not before questioning Streaky. Why would you shoot him? Why? Well, that's just, you know, that's just what you do. I mean, like, I don't know. He'll be okay, won't he? I have no idea. He could die. What's die? And Fitz has to explain to Streaky what die means. You know, go away and never come back, cease to be. And that gets into Streaky's head. He's never thought about that before. He's familiar, vaguely with the term of dying and death and such. but it's never factored into his existence because on his world that doesn't exist. No one dies, not permanently. There's no never coming back. And so Fitz, when he takes the doctor and busts out of the ambulance, Streaky is then left alone, watching them go and going, what did I do? And from there, going forward, these three people, Fitz, Angie, and the doctor, start just doing things that make everybody start questioning their own existence. Like cats wondering, well, why do I chase mice? Dogs going, well, why do I hate cats? Hey, why do we have a burger joint in the middle of town when we also have sentient cows walking around on two legs? Why is it that some cats, because there's a lot of cats in this, there's actually like a whole gang of cats that play a pivotal role in the story. Why can some cats talk, but others can't? So that's just, it's utterly fascinating how through all of this, each character, our main characters, have their own set of stories and roles that they're playing apart from each other, but still tying in to the central themes of gaining consciousness and gaining free will. And at one point, Angie actually does question the doctor towards the end, going, well, what are we supposed to do? What if, like, by doing this, we've ruined these people's lives? They were happy before. They never questioned anything before. And by coming here, we've ruined that. And the doctor says, well, you know what? We can't really question that now because, unfortunately, we've already done it. We are here, and this is happening. So all we can do now, whether or not we agree this was a good or bad thing, we are here now, and the only thing we can really do is help them navigate what choice means and how to live with it. That's all we can do, and we have to do our best by it, and he does. The doctor in particular is the best adept at doing those things. Angie and Fitz have their own arcs with other cartoon characters. Angie is with a ripoff of the Scooby-Doo gang, and Fitz is with Penelope Pitstop. That's not what they're called, by the way. These are all parody characters. All parody characters that pay homage to Hanna Barbara and Looney Tunes. So none of them are actually called those things. I just want to clarify. But all of it ties into free will, and with the doctor in particular, there's this wonderful series of events with Jasper the cat, and I don't want to go into everything about it. But there's a court case because the very first murder was committed by Jasper. And so then the doctor actually comes to Jasper's defense, and he starts making people question, well, what led up to this? How did it come to this? Where were things going? How about all of you? In the past couple of days, there's been injury and murder. Not just Jasper murdering somebody. Everybody here is guilty of something by this point because you all don't know how to deal with free will. So how can you judge Jasper? And if you're going to judge him, what are the consequences for his actions? So it becomes just this really absolutely amazing set of events. It's kind of like Pleasantville in that regard, but with cartoon characters, and so damn creative and so very well written. And I just want to give major props to that. It's just an amazing, amazing adventure, and I highly recommend you check it out.